Hey guys, how's it going? This is going to be a review of the Suunto Ambit 2 GPS watch. I've had this for, I don't know, I've had it for probably about 6 months or so, and I've gotten a lot of use out of it, and I absolutely love it. I loved the Suunto Core that I had prior to this. I did a series of reviews on that. And I wanted to upgrade to a watch that had built-in GPS functionality for like hunting applications and hiking and just some more serious outdoor type applications. And this watch is just about as good as you can get if you're looking for something like that. It's got an immense amount of features that is pretty much unsurpassed by any other competitor out there. There's not really a watch currently that has even close to the amount of features that the Suunto Ambit 2 has. It'll do absolutely everything that the Core will do. So it'll do temperature, barometer, altitude, sunrise, sunset, compass, all of that stuff. Anything that you have the capability of doing on the Suunto Core model watch, you'll be able to do with this. Plus, you have an assortment of functionality that comes thanks to the inclusion of the GPS in this watch. So first, let's just talk about the overall design and build of the watch. It's very nicely put together, just like the Core was. It is quite bigger. Now that's kind of necessary, as you have a GPS unit in this watch, whereas you didn't have that in the Core. So it's going to be thicker, and it also has an extension here that comes into the strap. This is the antenna portion of the GPS. It has your silicone rubber strap and your single prong metal buckle here. You have one retention loop. The case is polymer, just like the Core was, or the basic model. The face is going to be covered by a mineral crystal. They also do have a version that you can get with a sapphire crystal, which is going to be obviously the most scratch resistant and protective option. But I believe that model runs for $100 or $150 more than the standard model. It has a metal bezel. On the left side of the watch there's 2 buttons, and on the right there is 3. So if you are familiar with prior Suunto watches, at least the Core, it's going to operate in essentially the same way. You have your mode or select button here. Then you're going to have kind of these buttons here that are going to operate various different things depending on what screen you're in. But before I go into that, let me just talk about some of the specifications on the watch. The case thickness, as I said, is pretty thick. It's about 19 millimeters in depth, so it's going to sit on the wrist pretty large. It's going to stick out, but it's not inordinately large there. I like big watches, so it feels just fine on my 8 or so inch wrist. Also, it is a pretty big case in width. It's 50 millimeters. It's not too heavy. I mean, it is relatively heavy compared to, say, the Core, but you know, because of the materials, the plastic and the silicone strap, it does keep the weight down. I believe they say it's about 3.14 ounces. So that's basically the just the specs and concern as far as the build of the watch is concerned. It does have a rechargeable lithium polymer battery, which I really like because you know, you don't have to worry about taking out batteries, because these multifunction watches are pretty notorious for having a not too prolonged battery life, just because of all the demand that the functions put on the battery. So building in a rechargeable battery is a very nice idea, where you know, you don't have to go out and change the battery all the time. But it does also kind of limit your capability as far as extensive use, because you can't carry around batteries to replace, say if you're on a long camping trip, or going to be in the outdoors for a period of days, and you're going to use this watch pretty extensively. You're going to have to think of some other power option, perhaps bring a rechargeable battery pack that you can plug USB into. That would be a good option to charge the watch while you're on the go. It comes with a 4-pronged polymer clip that you essentially just clip onto the watch here on both sides, and it has 4 contact points that's used for charging and also for data connection. And that's another awesome part of this watch, the free software that you can get by going to Suunto's website. I believe it's suuntomove.com, and essentially it'll let you look at all the data collected by this watch. It'll give you all sorts of graphs, maps, anything you could possibly want to know about the trip. About the trip that you took, the track that you recorded, the bike ride you went on, the hike you went on, the run, anything. You want to look at all the data, all the specific graphed elements of that trip. You can do so with the software, and it's presented in a very visual and intuitive way. I'm not going to go into the software in this review. I'm just going to focus on the watch, but just know that if you get the watch, you're not going to be disappointed with the software, because the software is amazing. So let's go into the functionality of the watch, show you how it's used, and all the features. One thing that I really like about this watch that the Core didn't incorporate is it has the ability to change display, having your standard display or your inverted display just by a press of a button. So at any point, if you wanted to have a negative blacked out display, all you do is press down and hold this bottom right button, and there you go. Now you have a negative display. So I think that's pretty awesome, because it essentially changes the character of the watch. So if you're bored with the watch, you can just, you know, press this button and it kind of gives it a new personality. I'm going to leave it on this mode for the purposes of this video because it makes it a little bit easier to see. So the standard display here is going to be very similar to that of the Core. You're going to have 3 data areas. The top one's going to be your month and day. That's not really changeable. You can't put anything else there. You can't substitute that. That's going to be always there. Same thing with the time. But you obviously can do a 24-hour military time if you chose. You can change that in the settings. You can also change the arrangement of the date. You can have the day first and then the month. But the bottom is going to be where you're going to have the ability to change what you see. Now, because this is a rechargeable battery, you're able to look at the exact percentage that you have left remaining in the battery charge. Let me talk real quick about the battery. Suunto advertises that you're going to have 24 hours of life with the GPS activated. So essentially what that's going to mean is you're going to have about 24 hours worth of time if you're using the GPS constantly. So if you're recording a track for 24 hours straight, that's how long the watch is going to last. But if you're going to do it like a normal person would do, in little bursts, say you want to, say you're going hunting or something, and you want to just track from one point to the other, and then, you know, you'll end your track, and then you move to a new spot, you want to track from that place to the new place, and then maybe backtrack, you know, in that sort of use, it's going to last a lot longer than the advertised 24 hours. 24 hours is assuming that you have the GPS activated the entire time, which is not going to be very common. And if you do not use the GPS, say you just use it as an actual watch, or just want to check the barometer or your altitude or compass heading every once in a while, the battery is very resilient. It'll last for a month or two. Actually, probably even longer, because I had it stowed away for probably a period of 2 months straight, and I believe it went from 100% to about 33%. Granted, that was me not using it, but it was still on, you know, it was still active, just not using, you know, the GPS. So it'll last for quite a while, and you know, the fact that you don't have to change the battery, even if you wear it down, just plug it in and you're ready to go again, that's a real bonus here. So let's change what we can see here on the bottom line. You see here, this is the battery percentage. You can go to the day of the week, and then it'll also show you on the bottom there, if it's not showing the actual percentage, it'll give you a graphical representation of the battery you have left. You can do seconds. You can do a secondary time zone, and then you can go back to the battery percentage. So from here, we're going to press the center button on the right to get to the next display. This is going to show the barometric pressure right now, and I have it in a mode that's called fused altimeter barometer, meaning it has some kind of smart technology that will kind of monitor the activity of the watch and the elevation change and the time it takes you to change elevations, and it'll kind of try to predict what's going on as far as your activity, and it'll use this technology to give you what it thinks you want to see. So because I'm not hiking, because I'm not moving, it decides to give me the altimeter, the barometer readout. But if I started moving, say I went on a hike or started driving and started changing elevation quickly, it'll assume that instead of, you know, the change in pressure being caused by, say, a hurricane, and instead of showing me a drastic barometric change, it'll assume that I'm moving and give me the altimeter readout. So you don't have to continually go back and forth. The Suunto Core also had this feature, so that's nice. That's what I leave it in. You could also have it stay on the barometer readout or stay on the altimeter readout. You can change from inches to bars if you wished. Obviously, you have this graphical readout. I'm not sure the period of time that it shows at any one time. Down here on the bottom bar, I'll call this your multi-function bar. Right now you have the reference altitude. So in order to make it accurate, you're going to want to put in a reference altitude. Say you go someplace where you know the exact altitude, you're going to want to make that your reference altitude so it has a base reading to go off of. You can go and change, and you can see your time also on this display. You can do the temperature, Obviously you can change the units from Fahrenheit to Celsius if you wish. You can do sunrise, sunset. It'll just continuously cycle between the sunrise and the sunset. And again, you're always going to be able to see your battery readout down there. So that'll get you back to the reference. Alright, the next screen, the final screen, is going to be your compass. The compass does lack actually a little bit of functionality from the core. You can't do kind of your waypoint, I'm not exactly sure what you call it, but you can't do your point and go type navigation where you were able to do with the core, or essentially you can pick a location, point the watch at it, and set it. Then it will show you how you're kind of bearing in reference to that point you selected. So it'll show you whether you need to go right, go left, but that's because it didn't have GPS functionality. So this watch doesn't need that because obviously it has a full-fledged GPS. So essentially the compass is just going to show you what a compass shows. You know, it shows where true north is. So you can see it has a degree readout here, and after a while it times out because the compass is very power intensive. So in case you inadvertently switch this screen, it times out so it doesn't drain your battery. The core did the same thing. So here you can see the degree readout as well as an arrow that's going to point north. On the bottom multifunction part, you can have it give you a letter representing the direction that you're pointing in. So W, that's going to be west. It can also show you the time, or it can show you nothing. Not a lot going on in this display, but I mean it's a compass, so it shows you what a compass needs to show you. I guess that's all that's important. Press the center button again. That's going to get you back to the main time screen. Alright, so now let's get into some of the more important features of this watch and the reasons why you're going to be wanting to buy this watch. So in order to get into the GPS functions, you're going to press from any one of these three screens. You can do it from here if you want. You're going to press the top right button. That's going to get you into sort of, I call it the GPS functionality menu. If you want to do some navigation type activities, you're going to go into the navigation menu. Again, you select by pressing this center button. You can determine what your current location is. You know, obviously it's going to give you GPS coordinates. It's not going to give you a map or anything, but it will give you the lat long for your current location. Here you're showing poor accuracy because I'm inside of my house, so obviously it's not going to be too accurate. But actually, I'm surprised that it's even got a reading in here. But I've been, you know, monkeying with it for the last 20 minutes or so, so it's had ample time to get some kind of lock. To go back, you're going to press the top left. You can go to your logbook. This is going to be essentially everything that you've recorded. All your activities will give you the date and the time you recorded it. Now, I'm not sure this is going to work because of, yeah, it doesn't have a good lock, so it's not going to work, and it's not going to find the signal in here, so I'm just going to cancel that. But that would essentially give you the ability to, as it shows, you can view the track that you recorded, or the point that you recorded that shows a lat long, or you can navigate back to that point if you could get signal. Here I cannot, but that's going to be your logbook. Routes, I don't have any routes saved. Points of interest, you can save points of interest. I have 3. There's 100 possible that you can have. I used these points of interest when I was hunting, you know, to mark where the car was, and then certain spots. So that works well. That'll show you when it was marked, and it'll also show you the lat long and you can obviously navigate to it if you had signal. Presently I'm a few hundred miles from that place, so it might not be too helpful to try to navigate back to it using the watch. So that's going to be the navigation part of this. Timers, very simple. You have a stopwatch, countdown function. I'm not going to go into that. Logbook. This is going to be an overall look at everything that you recorded, whether it was navigation related or activity related, as far as exercise. So this is a trekking exercise that I recorded. Essentially this is just like a hike. It gives the time that you recorded it as well as the date. You can go through and see various data. You can see how long it was. It was 2.51 miles over the time of 2 hours and 1 minute 22 seconds. Average speed, max speed, descent, and ascent. So it'll show you your elevation change over that period. Now this is what I really like about the watch. This sort of information and the ability to do this sort of stuff. So here's another trekking event. So there's a whole bunch of built-in. Let me see if I can find one that's not trekking related. Here's a running one. So depending on the mode that you pick, there's a bunch of pre-programmed activities in the watch. Depending on the mode you pick, it's going to have different data. It's going to collect different data that you would expect to be associated with that activity. So here I have my overall distance, the time, average speed, max speed. Then it's going to give your average mile speed and your max mile speed, total ascent, descent. So that's basically just a brief overview of how the data readouts look for different activities recorded. Now what's really neat about the software is that if you connect this to the computer, you can make your own activities. You can go ahead and customize everything. You know, say you want to see certain data when you run. You know, you want to be able to look down at your watch and see certain things that aren't pre-programmed to be shown. You can select all the various data readouts that are going to be displayed on the watch. You can add screens to the running readout. There's even apps that you can download that have pre-programmed functions that exceed that of those that are, you know, included with the watch. So it's very versatile and very customizable. Here's the exercise menu. So essentially this is going to be your starting point. So when you want to record something, you're going to go to the exercise and then you're going to pick what you want to do. So you have alpine skiing, trekking, triathlon, running, outdoor sport, or outdoor swimming, cycling, indoor swimming, other sports. I guess that's just going to be a general overview of indoor training, mountaineering. So there's a good amount of pre-programmed stuff. You can also add stuff through the online software, as I said. So that's going to be your GPS menu. Now to get to the settings of the watch, you're going to hold down this center button, and this is going to be the menu for all the watch settings. Not going to really go too heavy into these because it's just, you know, common stuff, getting stuff set up, different formats and units. You can put in your personal information, your weight and heart rate, and that's something that I forgot to say here. You can actually pair this watch with an assortment of fitness products You know, the cadence sensors that you can put into your shoes, heart rate belts. It uses a wireless technology that most of those devices use to communicate. So, you know, for exercise purposes, this watch has the potential to be indispensable as far as the amount of information it can record. You know, in addition to all the stuff I just showed you, it can actually record, you know, heart rate, and all that other stuff that you'd be able to access with any of these devices that you can pair. So it's very expandable in that sense for exercise applications. To get out of this menu, you press the top left as everything else, and I guess one last thing is to get the illuminated display. You're going to press the bottom right once, and that pops up a backlight that'll last for about 5 seconds or so. You can also lock the watch out by holding down this button, which I'm not going to do. Actually, I just did. So now you can't press anything. Unlock it by doing the same thing. Alright, so that's basically it. I know that was long. I'm probably going to break this into a couple parts. But that is an overview and review of my feelings about this watch. I think it's an incredible watch, and if you're an outdoor person or you like to exercise and you like to have all the data associated with that, this is definitely the watch for you. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, just leave it in the comments, and have a good one.